Let me start with something that could or should make you pause. Have you ever wondered if your opinions, your reactions, even your political leanings are really yours? As a behavior analyst, I do this kind of introspections often, so no, I'm not talking about some kind of conspiracy or science fiction. No, it's far more subtle and probably far more unsettling. It's about how every click you make, every scroll, every hesitation whilst you scroll, every like gets scooped up, fed into massive data systems, analyzed and turned into something actionable. Something that can shape what you see, how you think, and yes, what you believe. From a psychological perspective, I could explain how that works and how easy it is to influence people, but that would sidetrack from what I want to tell you today. But if you're interested, I have already published on that topic both on YouTube and on my Substack. Some of the links are in the description below. Now, if you still picture this as some kind of sneaky advertisement trick just to sell you sneakers or a subscription box, you need to think bigger. I'm talking about political influence, social engineering, and at the highest level, military strategy. Governments, intelligence networks, and even NATO. Yes, NATO. They all are interested in these patterns because they reveal something no spy satellite can. How to steer public perception, how to shape the battlefield of your mind. Connecting to my last week's exposé about the dark side of Apple's new flagship model, the iPhone 16, today I'm trying to show you why the slogan, "If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear," is wrong on so many levels. To better understand this, we have to look at the concept of surveillance capitalism, the Cambridge Analytica scandal, and most chilling of them all, how NATO's cognitive warfare programs are quietly turning the techniques of military psy-ops inward on their own populations. And here's the scary part. Most of us won't even notice it's happening. But this isn't a story about tech. It's a story about control. It's a story about the battle for your mind. So my guess is you had heard that line before, right? If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. How many times have we all heard it? Politicians, tech CEOs, maybe even your uncle at Christmas, all parroting this idea like it's some universal truth. But let me ask you something. Do you leave your bathroom door open because you have nothing to hide? Or do you hand your phone to strangers because you're not texting state's secrets? Of course not. Privacy isn't about hiding criminal behavior. It's about preserving autonomy, dignity, and freedom. It's about controlling your own space. The problem is this myth has been weaponized. Companies tell you, hey, don't worry, we are just collecting harmless metadata. Or as Apple deceptively put it, what happens on your iPhone stays on your iPhone. Again, watch my recent clip about the iPhone 16. Links in the description. And it's not about you personally. But here's the trick. It's precisely about you personally. Your behavior patterns, your social connections, your emotional triggers, they get mapped, measured, analyzed, and sold. It's sold, but it's not just sold to advertisers. It's sold to political campaigns, governments, and increasingly to security agencies and law enforcement. Why? Because even if you're not hiding anything, they want to know how to shape you, how to move you, how to steer an entire population in a direction that suits the strategic objectives of the corporate oligarchs that run the show today. So again, nothing to hide? That's the wrong question. The real question is, what are they really doing with what they see? To understand this better, we have to roll back the clock to 2016. Cambridge Analytica. Remember that name? I hope so. If not, let me refresh your memory. It was the scandal that cracked open the ugly reality of how personal data was being weaponized against voters. Here's how it worked. The British data firm Cambridge Analytica managed to harvest the Facebook data of tens of millions of users, most of whom had no idea their info was being harvested. Not just their profiles, but their friends' profiles, their digital fingerprints, and their behavior patterns all together. What did they do with it? They built psychological profiles, little psychological blueprints of who people were, what they feared, what they loved, what motivated them, what made them run and what made them buy. And then they used the data to target people with hyper-personalized political ads designed not to inform, but to manipulate. They were specifically designed to stir up anger, fear and resentment, to push you just a little bit, often without you ever noticing, towards or against a particular candidate or cause. And you know what's really wild? Cambridge Analytica wasn't some dark government operation. It was a private company using techniques honed in by military psy-ops and applying them to civilian elections. It was a proof of concept that showed the world, if you can control the data, you can control the narrative and the population. And the population, that's you and me. And here's the bitter irony. After the scandal blew up, after Facebook's apology tour, after Cambridge Analytica virtually crumbled, the techniques they used didn't disappear. Of course not. They are goldmine. They went mainstream. Welcome to the age of political micro-targeting at scale. So what did happen after Cambridge Analytica? Did the world wake up? Did we slam the brakes on the data economy? Not exactly. In fact, the tools got sharper, much more sophisticated. The data flows got even bigger and the players got bolder. Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, TikTok, X. They all run on the same fuel, behavioral data. To simplify it, every like, every search, every pause, every scroll was turned into a predictive product. At first, sure, it was about selling you stuff. But over time, that same system started being used to sell you ideas, to sell you beliefs, to nudge entire populations in political directions. Take India, for example. WhatsApp groups flooded with targeted disinformation ahead of elections. Or Brazil, where social media-fueled outrage campaigns tipped political scales. Or even in the US, where YouTube's recommendation engine quietly nudged users in the direction of more and more extreme political content. See, if you want to polarize a society, you couldn't design a better machine. The algorithms don't care about truth or lies. They care about engagement. And guess what drives engagement? Your outrage, your fear, and your tribalism. But here's also where it gets darker. These systems aren't just open to commercial exploitation. They are open to state actors, foreign and domestic. We are talking about disinformation mercenaries, influence for hire firms and persons, even military contractors offering perception management packages. The behavioral data economy has become the backbone of a global influence industry. And most of us, really most of us, are just walking through it blindfolded. If you don't believe me, look around. Polarization isn't just an American problem anymore. From France's Yellow Vests to Germany's far-right conspiracies to political meltdown across Latin America, societies are cracking under the weight of algorithm-fueled outrage. Here's the ugly truth. We live in a feedback loop. Algorithms amplify the most extreme, most engaging content, which pushes people into more extreme positions, which feeds back into the algorithm. Don't you see? It's not some abstract concern. It's reshaping elections, governments and social cohesion. Do you think it's a coincidence that we see the rise of right-wing governments around the world? And it's certainly not a bottom-up chaos. It's top-down engineering. Political campaigns, governments, even security agencies, they all are perfecting their skills to game the system, to inject specific narratives, to manufacture viral movements. So we are not just consumers of content. We are the targets in a continuous information war. But, and here's the thing, the governance of all this isn't happening through laws or public debate. It's happening through code. A few geeky engineers tweaking an algorithm here, adjusting a recommendation system there, and boom, society shifts. No vote, no oversight, just the invisible hand of algorithmic governance. Think about it for a second. Are we living in a democracy, or are we living inside a giant, profit-optimized social experiment? Now, here's where it all comes together, and trust me, this is exactly the part that some people really don't want us to talk about. See, it's not just corporations and political campaigns playing in this space. NATO, yes, the Western military alliance, has been quietly developing something called cognitive warfare. I've dropped this red flag word already in a number of my videos and Substack articles. NATO's own documents make it very clear. The human mind is now the battlefield, not just the minds of foreign adversaries, but of their own population. Why? Because in modern conflict, it turns out, controlling the narrative is just as important as controlling the battlefield. So NATO strategists are thinking, how do we build resilience against disinformation? How do we shape public opinion so our own societies stay united? That sounds novel, right? Until you realize it involves using psychological operation techniques on domestic audiences. That's you. Let me give you some examples. In the UK, during COVID, the Army's 77th Brigade monitored domestic social media to counter what they called harmful narratives. In Canada, military planners drafted proposals to conduct influence operations on their own citizens to keep the public in line during the pandemic. And in the US, the mothership, well, there have been documented cases of Pentagon influence operations on platforms like Twitter and Facebook, supposedly targeting foreign audiences, but often spilling over into the domestic space. Once you set up that machine, it doesn't exactly stop at the border. Here's the chilling part. These operations use the same data, the same platforms, and the same algorithmic tools that you and I interact with every single day. Your clicks, your shares, your online behavior all become part of a vast cognitive landscape that militaries can map, analyze, and, if they choose so, manipulate. We have already crossed that line. The tools of war have merged with the tools of commerce. And the battlefield? It's inside your head. So how did we get here? How did the world of social media and military influence collide, or better, merge? Simple. Follow the data. Big tech companies collect massive amounts of behavioral data. We all know this by now. They say it's for advertising or for your convenience. Sure, but the data is a goldmine for governments and military planners looking to understand population. Who is vulnerable to radicalization? Who is spreading dissent? Who is susceptible to certain kinds of messaging? Who is against the war in Gaza or in Ukraine? And this is also where it gets murky. Companies like Peter Thiel's Planeteer are specialized in helping governments to sift through this ocean of data to find patterns, threats, opportunities. What starts as predictive policing, that's a new thing that you have to watch out for, predictive policing, or counterterrorism analysis, easily slides into broader population monitoring. And once you're monitoring, influencing is just the next logical step. Let me be really clear, this is not a theory. Leaked documents, investigative journalism, whistleblower accounts, they all point to a growing entanglement between corporate data systems and military influence operations. And to preempt any doubters, I wrote an accompanying Substack article that lists all the sources, the links in the description. But the scariest part, there is no off switch. Social media platforms don't stop at national borders. Influence campaigns aimed at foreign audiences inevitably bleed into domestic space. The result? A world where your newsfeed isn't just shaped by algorithms chasing ad dollars, but by strategic actors shaping public opinion for geopolitical gain. This is why I'm arguing that we are living in a time where the line between commerce, politics, and war has completely disappeared. So where does this leave us? Are we just helpless pawns in some vast psychological chess game? Not necessarily. As always, the first step is awareness. There's just no way around it. You can't defend your mind if you don't even realize it's under attack. That means understanding how data is collected, for example on your new iPhone 16, how algorithms work, how influence operations operate in the deepest shadows. It also means demanding accountability. We need laws to put real limits on data collection. We need transparency from both governments and corporations about how they're using behavioral data. And maybe most importantly, we need decentralized social media. Social media free from the strangulating grip of billionaire owners and their agendas. We need a cultural shift. We need to value cognitive sovereignty the same way we value freedom of speech or the right to vote. Because at the end of the day, democracy can't function if its citizens' beliefs are quietly manipulated by forces they can't see and don't understand. So here's my challenge to you. Pay attention, ask questions, push back, learn how to recognize manipulation and help others to see it too. This isn't just about protecting your privacy. It's about protecting your agency, your capacity to think, to decide, to be an autonomous human being in a world increasingly designed to pull your strings. I published a number of videos and Substack articles on that very topic to help you on the way. Links or some links are in the description. Remember, the most effective propaganda is the kind you never notice. Alright, that should already be more than enough. Let's bring this home. I have covered a lot today, from surveillance capitalism to the myth of nothing to hide, to Cambridge Analytica and the global data economy, to the terrifying rise of NATO's cognitive warfare programs. And this is not the last time that you will hear me speak about this. If there's one thing that I would like you to take away from today, it's this. The battle for your mind isn't some distant abstract thing. It's here, it's now, it's woven into the very fabric of your digital life. So don't shrug it off. Don't assume you're immune. Nobody is. I'm an academically trained behavior analyst and I know not even I am immune. So don't kid yourself. Another thing that you could do, of course, is if you found this useful, share it, discuss it, challenge it. Because the only antidote to hidden manipulation is open, critical dialogue. So enough for now. Thanks for sticking with me through this mental gymnastics. Stay sharp, stay aware, and remember, always look beyond the headlines.